The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show would like to acknowledge the traditional land owners and the leaders past, present and emerging of Ngunnawal, Ngambri and Darawal countries where we are working from today. This always was, and always will be, Aboriginal land.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Michael and Jacob.
What's the count of my Zach Wilson jokes on this podcast? Must be high. Must be
over under 26.5.
Definitely.
If you do a highlights package, you have to do a Zach Wilson one.
That'll take you all week trying to work that out.
Will.
Aussie NFL Fantasy.
Oh no, that's
And it's
not
all right
good.
if you're Zach Wilson taking on 3 months, but
Oh, okay, all right.
You're a buff player.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
The O-line will literally not look for him. They'll let
all
him
Zach
die.
Wilson's delivering his STDs, mate.
Speaking of which, I'm just going to post a photo to the group.
Yeah. No, you've already snookered me on some detail earlier today, mate. I'm not getting done twice.
I'll rattle myself again.
T-A-L-O-R. Taylor Talk time. That's right. Hot Diggity Dog.
Do you want the Dr. Good Call one too, Tay? Does that help you get in the mood?
No, look, I'm here as an authoritarian to tell everyone, look, this entire time I've been hoodwinking you. It actually has been Taylor who was Dr. Good Call this entire time. I'm here to tell you.
Yo.
Unbelievable, guys. I'm here to drop a
I
bomb.
can't
Rips
believe
off the
it.
mask and it's Taylor
I
underneath.
can't believe it. Oh, it's that meme. It's that meme.
All of this time I've, been really just like, throwing off the scent by saying it's not Taylor, and oh my God, amazing. It actually has been me the entire time.
This is every episode of Days in Our Lives that my mother made me watch in my first 5 years of life.
fucking outrage.
It's
an outrage. Well, I'm shooketh. I don't know. That's what the kids are saying these days. I'm shooketh.
Yeah, you can't believe it. You can't believe that I know the days of my life.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Is that show even on anymore?
Of course it is.
Yeah, it's
Stands
still,
in the
it
hourglass,
actually
never
got
ends.
cancelled. It actually got cancelled recently.
No
way. I think it actually got cancelled off NBC or something, and then it got moved to like some other channel. Oh, it's still going. It's still going.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say
When those
Neighbours
scenes
and
got-
Days of Our
It
Lives.
just got moved to Peacock. That's all it says. Okay. There you go.
Say soap
Yeah.
opera. Speaking of soap, I need soap to wash myself after picking shitty tight ends all year.
Look, I only know the theme because I watched Urinating Tree for so long, and Days of Our Steelers was like my entire 2018. So there you go. That was stuck in my head all 2018, 2019. Man.
So good.
I know Days of Our Lives because Joey Tribbiani was on it on Friends.
Yes. Dr. Drake Rivera.
Trek Ramore.
Ramore, that's right. It's Dr. Nick Riviera. Hello, everybody.
What a great mix.
I would love to watch that show. Yeah, Joey Tribbiani smashed together with Nick Rivera. I'd watch that. I'd watch the hell out of that.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
I want the Dr. Nick special. 2 pizzas. Sorry. All right, I digress. Sorry. Getting me into
Welcome to
character
the Friends
voices.
Simpsons Hour.
Don't start me on character voices. It's not good. And I can't stop myself. I'm out of control. Okay. Let's get this back on track, Matty C. Taylor / Dr. Goodcall, whoever you are. Congratulations on surviving 16, 17 weeks of trying to work out how to start people that are lesser owned or who might just out of nowhere shock people, especially, as you said, tight ends, man. Fucking tight ends. But I've got nothing but admiration for you, mate. You've done well.
Don't worry, mate. I'm gonna have a one last crack at them later in this segment.
Oh, all right, man. Well, take us on a journey. What do you got for us this week, man?
Well, I just thought for this sort of segment, obviously it's been fun, like I said, going through the weeds and picking out guys that not everyone's thinking about starting this week and looking at data and trying to find good matchups and things like that. So I just wanted to sort of bring it back to, I guess you'd call it a team of the year. I've basically got 3 nominees, or actually 4 in one position. I've got some nominees for Player of the Year in each position from Dr. Goodcall's picks this year. So each one will have nominees of guys that I've picked a lot this year, and I've basically picked a winner for each position.
I love this. Ah,
Mm.
And what I'm going to do,
this
I'm
is
actually
so
gonna,
great.
I'm going to announce the nominees and let you guys throw out your vote for who I'm going to actually
Ooh,
decide.
okay. All right. Okay,
Oh, I
boys.
like this. I should have done this for patient form, but yeah, like this.
You would have been the only person who voted for Nick Bosa.
Hey, look, we did actually have voting behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I told you the crumbs. The crumbs all came together to form that pastry. Every single award. Nick Bosa just had like 50 crumbs all go to
Some
him.
people had more crumbs than others by the sound of it. Anyway.
Look, this also has a very prestigious voting process. It's Taylor and Dr. Goodcall.
Yeah, 100%. And what we think doesn't actually matter, but
All 2 people.
all right.
Look, I had all right, full digression, man. Like I had all my footballs vote for it too. So I had more people voting for it than this one. But anyway, say what you want. Footballs know more about football than humans do. So there you go. OG Manjot days back in
OG
the day.
Manjot. Boom.
Yeah,
Deal with it.
there you
Facts.
go. Sorry. Anyway, Doctor Goodcall, don't mean to take your time. I'm very sorry.
Yeah. He charges like 180 bucks an hour.
Time.
Yeah, you guys just keep chatting. I'll just keep billing you.
Mark, do you want to
All
chip in
right,
here?
All right, guys, the nominees for Quarterback of the Year from Dr. Goodcall. Danny Dimes,
Yes.
Trevor Sunshine Lawrence, and Jared Goff.
Oh, come on.
You know where my vote's going.
Marky Mark, I think you got to lead us off here.
I mean, in a donkey vote, 'cause you didn't put Tour in the conversation, so fuck the vote. No, I gotta go. If I was gonna pick between those 3,
Tua would have been 4th.
I love
Tua,
Trev.
well, just full digression, Tua probably didn't really come into Dr. Goodcall as much as you think because he had a really, really good start to the year and he kind of fell out of like contention because he was too high.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because people were starting him, yeah. Well, these guys were always
I would
iffy.
probably go Trev. Trev would be my vote.
Oh, I know the correct answers. Like the heart wants Trev, but the correct answer is Goff. The correct answer is Goff, right? Manjot?
Look, my vote, I've got to go with our Lord and Savior, the Goffense. Come on, man. The Goffense was all in motion this season. I don't think we've introduced that to the show yet, but I will. I stole it from a few Instagram comments. I think I followed that Cutler's woke guy way too much because I've just fallen in love with Goff since the start of last year. You know, I think, well, 2021. Sorry, I forgot it's 2023 now, but. Yeah, see, I've always been a big believer in Goff ever since he went to the Lions. I was a hater when he was on the Rams because fuck the Rams. But once he was on the Lions, you know, he's always been one of my favorites. I'm gonna give it to him. I've got to give it to him.
Yeah. Well, Tay, there's our votes, mate. What do you got?
This man said to all the haters, fuck Goff, mate. It's Jared Goff, the Lord and Savior. Yeah, baby. Oh, man. This is very personal for Taylor and Dr. Goodcall. This guy literally took me to 2 championships this year. Could not get enough of this guy. You know, I've what is a blue in the face that I've brought up? How many times that I've brought up Goff being ridiculously good at home? And that was a very, very early pickup. I remember there was a game against Seattle really early in the season, and I
week 5 or something.
Shit out of that matchup, and you know, both ended in the 40s, and there was just fantasy points coming out the you know what for both teams. And honestly, from there, I just targeted Jared Goff at home. And what was really, really funny in Astro is I actually picked up Goff just purely as a keep away, so Adam didn't get him with a few weeks ago in the Astro League, and in the end, I ended up needing him because he basically ended up having to be my quarterback 1, and then I started picking matchups and playing him over Tua anyway, and worked out perfectly. Like he could not have been a better pickup at that time. But just generally, I've had him in this segment a fair few times.
Yeah.
Because he's had some really good matchups and he's always came through, and his offensive line's wonderful. So even in the league like Astro League where you lose points for sacks, he didn't really get sacked a lot. And
No, he
have a lot
didn't.
of turnovers.
Yeah.
He didn't have a lot of turnovers, especially at home. So he's just been wonderful. So I just wanted to give Jared Goff the shout out as the quarterback of the year for Dr. GoodCall, because every single time I prescribed him, he was absolutely wonderful for anyone that took it.
Yeah, and we all know no one was beating Goff right now. No one was beating Goff in this one. And
good shout out for the other two though. Like honestly, Danny
Yeah.
Dimes, I've brought him up too. He's had a wonderful year, and a lot of times people trusted him. He came through with his rushing ability, and just Brian Daboll's just brought out the best in him this year, and I think it's going to get him an extension. And Trevor, like we all, we don't have to talk about Trevor any more than we already have in this Jaguars podcast. That Jaguars friendly podcast has been for the last few weeks, and honestly, it's been for good reason because he's been wonderful, and the breakout that we're all picking is starting to happen, and he just looks wonderful.
Yeah, those are three terrific candidates. You can't dislike any of them.
Yeah, and they were all,
you can't.
like you said, they were all part of this segment for so long because they all were if he starts for a long, long time. Like a lot of the times they just didn't quite push themselves into that guaranteed starter. And especially in the second half of the year, they were just always an option to either pick up off a waiver wire or just someone that was probably sitting on your bench as a quarterback too.
100%.
And he was on all of our fantasy teams in Astro, wasn't he? He started off. Remember when Taylor was playing keep away?
Yep.
Taylor was literally playing keep away for Derek Carr, and we picked up Goff. And then we had the Seahawks game. We thought we had
he carried us
after that. Yeah. Also paying for that Seahawks game because that's what cost the Lions a playoff spot. But man, I just wish they were in the playoffs.
Say now, looking back though. Played keep away from Derek Carr. that's how bad Astro League can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For anyone who's not in a ridiculously competitive big league like that, it's hard to describe. It really is. That's what it comes to.
Nothing makes you hate yourself more.
Yep. When things go wrong, they go really bloody wrong.
Yeah, not wrong. With every team in that league, it has potential to be the Vikings.
For sure. All right. I'll move on to running back. So we'll come up with three options here, and they were definitely ones I think all signified different parts of the year for me. Like there was one probably. There probably isn't anyone that was at the first quarter of the year, but a couple of them definitely solidified the middle of the year for me and were in there a lot. And then there was one that really came home strong at the end. So my nominees are Isaiah Pacheco, Brian Robinson, and Tyler Algier.
Wow. Marky Mark. I'll kick off with you again. I like getting your perspective first.
I'd probably go Algier, just based on how chaotic everything was, that there was no passer to really spread the field, that they pretty much had quarterback by committee. I would go with that. I'll go with him.
Manjot, what do you think, mate?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough.
All these young guys, 3 rookies.
Yeah, they're all rookies. That's why I put first up as well. I'm gonna go just Pacheco. I think he's shown that despite the running back by committee, I think he's still put up a lot of solid games across the board in fantasy. I think he's been an absolute stud in this segment. And I think 100%. I'm going Pacheco, to be honest.
It's definitely proven to be their running back, where McKinnon was much more their passing option. But and we all know my feelings about Brian Robinson. So walking past that one. But I'm going to agree with Marky Mark here. I think Tyler Algier had really shown himself to be just a volume monster. And even later on, Taylor was bold enough to stick his neck out and say, not only is he going to get the carries, he's also going to get some targets. And then he did. And he ended up with 22 touches that week and just kind of shown he's someone who can kind of do quite a bit. And I think coming into the season, we're hoping something would solidify there at Atlanta, and I just don't know that we were expecting it to quite come out like this. So that's where that's where I think Taylor's going. But it's also, if these were the three I was presented with, that's where my vote would go.
Like picking between these three, saying who had the best season, it's probably more how they went when I had them on the segment. Is more the way I'm sort of looking at this. And I think we could all agree that these three were very, very prominent when I was doing it. These three clearly were very prominent in different parts of Dr. GoodCall this year. So
Yeah.
this was the hardest one. I thought it was really, really close between these three. I thought they all had good games. But purely based off this little part of the season that I took this guy, the winner is Tyler Algier. And honestly, it was to do with the success of me picking him. I've even got him in brackets where I've written down as a very late comer. It's in every time I took him late. I think I had him in the last 3 weeks. I either took him in starts of the week or in Dr. GoodCall. And I really, really wanted to portray what this guy was doing here at the end of the season. So I just kind of kept calling his number and even did a 15-touch guarantee for him in one of those weeks. And it was against a really, really tough Ravens defense too. And I still liked him because I thought the the player was going to get there even against a tough defense. So yeah, Tyler Algier is the guy this year because I really think he's got a great future as well.
Yeah, look, I can't go past that either. I just think that if considering the time of year you used him and the success he had the times you picked him, it doesn't surprise me at all.
I think Pacheco and Robinson had some down games when I picked them. So, they had good ones, but there were just some times they didn't really produce as well.
I do like that they were all rookies, though. Marky Mark would have been loving that. He's been watching the rookies for a long time to see them get into the NFL. And Brian Robinson not only got shot in the damn leg minutes away from the start of the football season. And then Pacheco, who was, I don't think anyone was sure that he was going to get much of a role in a backfield that had Ronald Jones come in, Jerick McKinnon come in, and had Clyde Edwards-Helaire already there, and Pacheco kind of looked like the fourth horse.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Yeah, we've had some pronunciation things with me today. Like I say onions, and then everyone says onions.
We don't say the I really at all. We say like UN,
Onions.
S.
Aussie.
I say onions. Onions.
Yeah.
Onions.
UN.
NFL.
So the big bag of onions that we haven't broken into is what's the draft order, mate?
Fantasy.
Yeah, onions. Let's go.
Yeah, Team Onion over here. You've converted me, mate. I'm an onions man now.
Speaking of which, I'm just going to post a photo to the group.
Oh no, is it Funyuns?
Are we ready?
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Sounds like you're saying Allianz.
The Onions. Onion Stadium.
Say it again.
I say onions.
All right. I'll move on to wide receiver. Now, I've got 4 here.
Hey.
Let's go through them. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Smith, Chris Olave, and Garrett Wilson.
Oh,
man.
That's 4 crackers.
And I've got it here written. All guys I timed perfectly before their breakout.
Yeah, you did. Boy,
Over time, yeah. They pretty much all became people that were ruled out at some stage of the season because they just performed too well.
As well.
Yeah, or injury. Like a ton of these guys got injured or had back quarterbacks as well. So I think, they've all had like mixed years in some respects as well, in terms of their game, in terms of their fantasy game. I think like my first thought, I knew Olave was going to be mentioned. He was the first thought that came to my mind. But when he said Amon-Ra St. Brown first, and then Devonta Smith, and then Olave, I feel like Amon-Ra would be number 1. I think just thinking about it, it's just he's been a great breakout, and so is Smith. But I think we expected it more from Devonta Smith. Kind of expected it better from Chris Olave. And look, and Garrett Wilson, we did expect it a bit from him, but Amon-Ra St. Brown was more unexpected than the other guys. I think his breakout definitely came at a time when no one knew what really Goff would do with that offense, the Goffense as we call it now. But yeah, once the Goffense took off, I think Amon Ra is the big part of it. So I'm going Amon Ra second round.
Hey, Marky Mark, what do you think about it, man?
I'm torn between Amon Ra and Garrett Wilson. I'm leaning Garrett Wilson just because he was the more consistent starter. So, and I feel like let's see, I can't really say because I'm going to say he was more likely to win you weeks, whereas Amon Ra actually he scored well too. I'll go Garrett Wilson just because that's what my gut tells me.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about it in terms of the times Taylor was picking these guys, and like he took Amon Ra, who puts up a 40-point day or something like that. And then you just couldn't pick him for this segment after that, really, and for starts of the week. He takes Devonta Smith, who then goes and puts up a 30-pointer as well. And then it's like, well, he probably can't pick him anymore because he's going to be starting in too many leagues. Olave kind of became the only receiver left at New Orleans before he got hurt. And he was showing he was worth his mustard. So just so many of these guys, he was just picking them at the right time before they became sort of probably not fair to continue to go back to say, oh, you should be able to find these guys. You couldn't find them after some of these weeks. And the one who was the most enigmatic with the way he just got the full erection for points the week that he went out was Amon Ra. So I'd imagine that Taylor's probably giving this to Amon Ra for the 39.4 he put up on his way out of the Dr. GoodCall segment.
All right, guys, I've put you through the ringer for no reason. I've given them all the win. I wanted to.
Wow.
I wanted to more. Nah, I'm just joking. That's
That
Garrett
is
Wilson.
such a Matty C move.
Nah, it's Garrett Wilson.
Wait, what?
I,
It's Garrett Wilson. Okay.
It's Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
I legitimately had them all written down as like a tie initially, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna pick one for the sake of it. And then I picked Garrett Wilson, and then I'm like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna go back and act like it's a tie again, just to be a dickhead.
So funny.
But look, in the end, I sort of grouped all these guys together because of what Matty C said. Is they all sort of represented like four were just guys that I was really, really proud of during the year because I feel like I gave a lot of good value to people listening. And then once they had obviously broken out, then, I didn't need to pick them again. So Garrett Wilson sort of, I picked him because I was able to come back to the well on him later in the year. Like I was able to sort of pick him in multiple times because he'd obviously fall off with Zach Wilson or he'd have a couple of down games. And then I was able to sort of pick again when he was going to go back to having a good game. So I felt like there was more opportunity for me with Garrett Wilson than the others. But in the end, it was very, very close, obviously. I just felt like Garrett Wilson, because I was able to pick him later in the year too, I just gave it to him. But honestly, all four I was really, really proud of.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean,
Yeah.
the timing was really excellent there.
Timing is everything in fantasy, honestly. Especially if you're going to go trade for someone, you know what I mean? Like, if you use that opportunity and gone, this guy's going to break it, I feel like I've definitely added value.
Yeah,
Completely
I agree.
agree. And that's the point of the segment. That's I think why that matters is that you're saying, hey, I'm going to highlight somebody who potentially you can find and they'll turn up for you. And then they do, So, and I think that really goes to show the effort that you put in to try and find the guys. And then you often will walk what you talk and you'll go out and find these guys in leagues, play them and have the success with them yourself. So I really love that.
All right, guys, at tight end, here's the nominees. No one. Screw this bullshit position.
Thank you. That was going to be my answer anyway.
How loose is your end? That's the question.
Thy end is gaping, as I have mentioned.
I don't even know how you find people for this. Like, so when you say fuck the position, I'm like, yeah, for reals.
Look, we all know who it is. Right? Come on, man. It's got to be your boy, Matty. Evan Ingram. It's easy, right?
Honestly, if I was to go, all right, who is a tight end that definitely broke out for the position they were drafted in, I would definitely go with Ingram. I would have said Everett earlier in the year. Like he was great for the first half of the year. But just generally, I really didn't feel like there was anyone that I could say I really nailed in this segment. Like it was really, really tough sledding, and it didn't really feel like it was matchup based a lot of the time for the tight ends. They just sort of had their games just willy-nilly. It didn't really seem to fall in the favor of me. I know I had some weeks that were better than others, but in the end, I just wanted to say that for as good as I felt like I had some really good success in the running back in the wide receiver position, and obviously Goff and all the others at quarterback, I just really just didn't. I don't think I nailed tight end, honestly, and I just wanted to say that, and I just didn't think it was worth putting any these nominees because really I wanted to show some good success of mine in these parts. And I just really didn't really ever get a feel for tight end all year, honestly.
Do we agree that tight end nailed you? You didn't nail tight end.
That's more than happy to go with that.
Does anyone here feel like they had tight end worked out this year? Anybody?
Yeah.
No.
Only when I picked Everett and Astro. Only when I picked Everett and Astro.
Manjot won that draft, by the way.
Yeah, I want that Everett pick won me the draft.
He was one of our best players. It's
he was
frustrating.
the best player on the Lakers the whole year. That's the
I
reason why everyone calls us.
C on his jersey, mate. C on his jersey.
I made some mid-season trades for Kittle and Hawkinson. I'm pretty proud of those in my leagues. But again, those weren't really guys that I could use in this segment. So again, I feel like that is exactly what tight ends like, though. It is honestly draft the top 3 guys, maybe, and then the rest are just an absolute crapshoot. And honestly, 3 is a high. Maybe draft 1, and the rest are a bit of a struggle because even Hawkinson and Kittle were struggling earlier in the year themselves. Like you just had to time it right. So honestly, it's almost Kelsey or bust at tight end. Honestly,
yeah.
I got Frymuth for free in one league, and that's
he's actually been probably. He might be the best of the rest, to be honest.
Frymuth's actually one that I probably would be. If I had to say someone, he probably might be it, actually, because I've picked him a couple of times and he was all right. But in the end, I just wanted to say that I didn't feel like I nailed it. So,
which tight end was it that was like top 3 off one? Was it Ingram that was top 3 off one game?
Yeah, he threw up a 39.1 one week or something like 39.9 or something like that. And
Hawkinson was the same for a while too until he went to the Vikings and dominated.
Yeah, Hawkinson went from nothing to just. It turns out all he needed was Kirk Cousins. Apparently, Kirk Cousins couldn't make Irv Smith Jr. thing. He made Kyle Rudolph something and then immediately went off him, and then all of a sudden he gets Hawk.
He liked Hawk.
Yeah,
that offense just seemed to want a tight end to be relevant. They were trying their hardest. And then obviously making the trade, it's made Hawkinson very relevant moving forward.
So weird to trade in your division like that and then just watch the guy you traded away just dominate. It's just, so weird. Such a Lions thing to do. But
I'll do one more. I just thought I'd just highlight, and it's going to be pretty obvious because it was the most recent, but I was just going to highlight the best AIDS pick that I had done this year. I felt like, honestly, overall, I was really, really happy with the analysis and the results I had. Obviously, there were some unbelievably tough times there in the middle where I kept picking a running back and they would just fall over the line and score like 10 points. Like it was, they were getting no yards. The analysis on the defense and everything was honestly on point. I just couldn't get them to go under 10 points because they would fall over the line. I remember one Dameon Pierce against the Titans was on about 3.3 points or something going into the last minute of the game and got a receiving touchdown to put him just over 10 points. And that was absolutely disgusting. But
as time expired too, I think it was. It was just, what the fuck?
The Titans had put the game away easily. It was absolutely disgusting. But honestly, overall, I had a really good finish to the year. I sort of went away from running back, took on some different positions because I didn't want to just have running back all year. But look, in the end, the Justin Jefferson one has to obviously take the cake. I said that I was doing calf raise over the cliff, and honestly, that probably doesn't even portray it enough. Even as I was saying it, I could hear Manjot's voice in my head just saying, "You're an idiot. This is going to be the worst pick ever," and that's pretty much what he said as soon as I finished. And look, I couldn't really say anything against that. I had the reasons as to why I thought it could happen. It wasn't so much about the Packers defense. It was more about the game itself. And I picked that the Packers were going to destroy the Vikings in that game.
Yep.
And something I was pretty proud of in itself. And I just thought it was going to be a really, really tough go for Kirk Cousins there at Lambeau. And look, that was true as well. It wasn't so much about Jefferson struggling against the Packers. It was that I thought the Vikings in general were going to struggle in that game. And it was just the kind of game that they could let go without really worrying about it, and that came to fruition. So, yep, I was really, really happy at that. I didn't think he'd scored 2 points in half PPR. That was absolutely insane. Like I was happy for a line of about 15 points as something that I was targeting to be happy with. So to get 2 points was just absolutely, utterly insane, honestly, for a guy like that who's absolutely dominated fantasy football this year. So, yeah, look, in the end, I was absolutely stoked with the call I made. More so about how the game went, not so much just Jefferson, but the fact the Packers just came out and obliterated the Vikings, and Kirk had a really tough game. I felt vindication, put it that way.
Got every bit right.
Man. Wait, I think his good at gridiron appearance just got cancelled. I think. I don't know. I'm sorry. I think I just got on the phone with Ian. He said the good at gridiron appearance might have just got cancelled right there. Sorry, Taylor.
Yeah.
I did say that to Ian though, and he actually agreed. He said he had a feeling the Vikings were going to struggle in that game as well.
I mean, he's seen the Vikings. The Vikings always struggle in those big games. Hopefully, they win the playoffs. In the playoffs this week, set up that showdown with a hopeful winner of San Francisco next week. Oh boy, yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. But yeah, anyway, enough about me thinking about playoffs. Oh boy, best time of the year.
I just want to give Taylor some real credit for that. I think it was your best call all season too. And you made some really great calls. And some of them, as you said, were just like that Miles Sanders one where he gets the 1 yard touchdown in the first quarter and you go, well, that's that whole game fucking ruined. When he didn't really do anything else the rest of the game, you know, and the Dameon Pierce one probably exemplifies just the shitty luck you had trying to take running backs early on. And once you took the running back out of it and kind of went, well, fuck it, I'm going to go after all the other positions, it really did show. Actually, the analysis has been great all along. It's just sometimes the result doesn't add up to the good analysis, and that, you know, just touchdowns can be fluky. And for that to ruin the good analysis was really dangerous at running back, and you kept on running into it. And once you got out of that, man, as you say, like, you're only taking someone who, if someone wanted to take Jefferson number 1 overall in any PPR format next year, okay, I'm not going to sneer at them. And there you are going, yeah, by the way, he's only had like 40 weeks in a row of 30 points. And I'm going to project him for less than 15. And I think we agreed like 14 would probably have been a pass mark. 2.5. 2.5. Yeah, so I don't know. That was a crowning moment. I just think you should be fucking proud of that, mate.
It was one of those ones too where I'm like about to win 3 grand finals, and all I keep talking about is the Justin Jefferson call. So for some reason, all of a sudden, all I cared about, it just honestly there was just a part of me that just felt absolutely stoked about that, even more so than some of the titles.
Right, Marky Mark, you would have done the same, right?
Fuck no. Like, whatever maths you put into this is spot on point. Like, you've got to just whatever stats you're looking at, you're nailing. So, kudos, mate. Really good.
Yeah. All I'd be able to talk about is how much I nailed the shit out of that call as well. Fuck the grand finals. It only took a year to work out. This is happening now.
I just want to, just for 1 second, just before I wrap up, sort of Dr. Good Call for the year. I don't want to do too much of a soapbox, but obviously earlier in the week, earlier in the podcast, on an early episode, Manjot sort of brought up the Damar Hamlin stuff.
Yeah.
I just wanted to sort of touch base a little bit on it from my end. Like, we obviously all love fantasy football so much. Like, it means so much to us. We wouldn't be on podcasts till 1 a.m. and things like that if we didn't really, really love it. But in the end, that is what it is. It is fantasy sports. We all go on a podcast and we go home to our families and we give them a hug and a kiss and we say goodnight. Damar Hamlin was almost not given that right. He wasn't given that right straight after his game because he had to be obviously rushed to hospital. And in the end, Marky Mark said it so well on his Instagram as well. You know, it really is just a game. Like, we love it, and we're never going to stop playing it because we do love it. But it really is just a game. If anyone out there is listening to this, just go give your family member a hug. And I want to thank you guys too, because you guys got me through that week as well. I took it to heart a lot. Obviously, being a sports person myself, growing up, you never really think that stuff could happen. You think the worst thing that could ever happen to you is that you lose the game and you go home and you're sad about the fact you missed a free throw, or you miss catching the winning pass or something like that. You think that's the absolute worst case scenario. And in the end, this young guy did absolutely nothing wrong. Neither did T. Higgins. Did absolutely nothing wrong. They two guys made a football play, and it almost cost him his life. And it was really, really damning to see. And it sort of made me step back and take a look at things and look at it in a different light a bit. And it took me a few days to even really look at fantasy. I'd won a few championships and stuff, and in the end, I wanted to actually take a bit of a step back and go, you know what, this is family time, and I just want to hug and kiss them. And fantasy really just took a back step. And I just want to say how stoked I am about the news about Damar Hamlin. I think we all are. I can speak for all of us there.
Yeah.
And, all four of us, we love fantasy. We're all four different men. We are four different people.
Yeah.
But I think we all felt like we were one person during that time, just wanting to stay strong for him and his family. So, yeah, that's the end of my soapbox. I just wanted to say, guys, just take fantasy for what it is. We love it, but that is all it is. It's fantasy, not real life.
Yeah, don't go sending death threats to people, please.
Yeah, that's a
Not
really
that
good
shit.
point. I was going to say that. Like, you had something very real happen to you this year. That again, I said it. I said it in the thing. Don't take this shit seriously. It's fantasy sports. It's here for fun. Yeah, some people play for cash, and then you've just got to weigh up what's really more important to you. If that is, then hit the casino. Like this. We're making predictions based on numbers that you're seeing. No analyst or sports person deserves to be threatened or abused because they do something or say something. If you don't like it, turn it off.
Yeah.
Someone almost made the ultimate sacrifice just purely so we can sit there and hope our fantasy team wins.
100%.
That's really all I took
Yeah.
from it. I'm sitting there wanting my fantasy team to win, and then all of a sudden this guy has put his life on the line for us.
Yeah.
And in the end, I just wanted to shout that out, and so happy that he's okay. And honestly, for that time, that's all I cared about at all.
Yeah.
Definitely the right move for last week that we did step away from it a little bit and just take that time. And I think between the five of us too, Ian included, we really leaned on each other quite a lot, and we all accepted what we'd seen quite differently. And it's really traumatic to see somebody who's just going about their job on what is essentially a TV show almost die in front of your eyes. So, it's a pretty big thing to take in. I think that, I said it earlier too, we're probably not the only group of blokes who did that, but I think that that's a great thing to be in a community where you can put away the entertainment part of it and go, oh, this is really human interactions. And, what's important is the human interactions and looking out for each other and knowing just how fragile it all is. So, Taylor, I just think you put that really well. And I've just been full of admiration for all of you this last week and more for how we've all pulled together and looked after each other. So, yeah, well put, Tay.
Thanks, guys. Well, I thought that was a good way to cap the Dr. Good Call for the year. But I felt like in a way I spoke for all of us there. And I think we've all sort of felt the same way. And we all did a really good job reaching out to each other during that week. I think we were all feeling it a little bit. And yeah, I just thought I'd say my little piece on that. And and Dr. Good Call for the year.
Well done, man. And a great season for not just Dr. Good Call and Taylor, but for both of you.
And the shock news for the same person.
Yeah.
If that is your real name.
Yeah, which one's actually you? That's the question.
Exactly. You'll never know. Dun, dun, dun.
Is there an @Dr. Good Call on Instagram that I haven't found yet? Is that what's happening here?
Look, we're going to make our own soap opera, and maybe I'll tell you at the end of the season.
This is great. You're going to come on as the replacement for Dr. Good Call after he dies falling down the elevator chute because you'll be his twin brother. This is the Drake Ramore. I brought it back.
His twin striker to Good Call.
Striker. Yeah, check that out. That is a callback, ladies and gentlemen. In the business, we bring back the old joke, a callback. What a way to finish that. I'm ready for some games now because, look, we've done some pretty serious stuff in the last couple of days. We've had some great pastries from Manshot in the first episode of the week. We've done some real big patting on the back for Tay and gone through some great awards for Dr. Good Call and had a nice serious moment there at the end. But I'm just ready to cut loose now. Who else is?
Yeah.
Play a game.
Let's do it. Episode 3. The games are coming. Now, I want to find a drop just to play to get us in the mood. Let's have a look here. We've got one
Nice day.
kicking
I like
around.
that. That was really nice.
Really well put.
Thanks, mate.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Shit, now I'm in the territory where I actually regret not starting Darius Slayton or just Zay Jones or something like that.
I've got someone. I don't even know how I thought of this.
Aussie,
It's not Debo because Debo's first name is Tyshawn. Got you there.
Let's just say Denniston.
Deniston.
NFL
He does all this shit, all these mind games he's doing.
Fantasy.
You want to try Terry McLaurin?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, right.
For 5 points. It's not Terry McLaurin.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
So list some wide receivers. We got Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill,
AJ Brown,
AJ Brown,
Christian Kirk,
Yeah, Kirk is there.
Juju.
Alright. Juju, gotcha. Yeah. Should
I
we
like
go
how you
for
guys
it?
are trying to enter the depraved mind.
All right.